Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another podcast for that ass. And today we're talking Chiefs top 30 visits again. Today, Kingsley Suamataia, tackle from BYU. Steve, let's talk about it.
Before we get the show started, appreciate you guys watching All Chiefed Up and watching us for your off-season Chiefs content. We appreciate you. Please hit that like button for us. Get this out to more Chiefs fans. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Mike, Kingsley Suamataia was our first Chiefs predictions mock draft number one draft pick, or first round draft pick, should I say.
He was our number one prospect
and then what?
pick.
And then what? Everybody got horned up about Kingsley. Yeah. We started seeing it everywhere.
Started seeing it, man. Good thing that we were ahead of the curve. It's crazy. Let's jump into Kingsley Suamataia, shall we? He's from BYU, Andy Reid's alma mater, Steve. Hometown, Orem, Utah. He's a Utah kid. 6'5", 326, 34 1/4 inch arms, adequate size in the arm category, 10 5/8 inch hands, Steve. You know how many bowling balls he can grip with one hand?
He's a big boy. He's a big boy, and I really like what he does on tape, Mike. Kingsley's had a lot of experience on the right side and the left side. He's played both sides of the ball. I get so much more positive than negative from Kingsley when I'm watching tape and even reading about the guy.
Oh, yeah, I agree. His production score to combine was 9th overall. His athleticism score, very athletic, Steve. 7th overall, 9th overall total score. This is what he did on the day. 40-yard dash, 5.04 seconds. 10-yard split, 1.74. He had a 28-inch vert, a 9.2 broad, 31 reps on the bench press, Steve. That is insane. And you want to know what's funny? Offensive tackles, you would think that the 10-yard split, 174, is the most important. Nay. Did you know that the 40-yard sprint actually correlates to more offensive linemen being athletic at the next level than the 10-yard, which is insane. You wouldn't even think that, right? Because we're like, well, offensive linemen don't go 40 yards, but I think it's something to do with athleticism, and Kingsley's got a ton of it, Steve. There's a lot I like about Kingsley, by the way. Like I said, he grew up in Utah. He played football at Orem High School, and he was recruited to Alabama, Florida, Georgia, SEC, Michigan, Notre Dame, Oregon, Ohio State, you name it, dude. He had so many offers. He ended up going to Oregon. He redshirted after one single game, and then he hit the transfer portal, and he was like, look, I don't like Oregon. I don't want to be here. It must rain a lot. I don't know. But he went to BYU, and, man, He dominated. He dominated. In 2022, he played in 12 games. He started every one of them, didn't allow a single sack. He was named the freshman All-America second team by the Athletic and the College Sports News. He's got good footwork. He's got moderate to bad hand placement. And that goes to what you said. He lets guys in on him a little bit, but that can be coached up. Can you imagine Andy Heck getting his hands on a kid like Kingsley Suamataia, a guy that you can go back and forth all through the line? He could probably even kick down and play some guard. I will say this, the more I watch film of him, I think his more natural position in the NFL will tend to be on the right side. And that scares me just a little bit. I know he's more athletic and he can play the left tackle position, but I do believe he would dominate a right side, whereas left side, he's going to need a little bit of time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a common sentiment with a few people. They think that he might be better on that right side. Even NFL analyst Lance Zierlein on NFL.com, he comped Kingsley to Abraham Lucas. He says that his strengths are that he has a thick frame with adequate length, patient with punch timing to prevent hand counters, adequate slide and redirect to mirror basic edge-to-edge attacks, uses size and strength to ride the rusher and stall momentum, good lateral quickness in outside zone and acceleration as a pulling tackle, and effective in climbing, tagging, and sealing targets in space. But yeah, Mike, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Kingsley does kind of let guys get into his pads a little bit, but he's really good at countering with his hands, so he does recover from it. But will that be able to translate to the NFL when he's got stiffer competition?
Right. I think his hands are his major weaknesses. I really do. I believe he's got bad hand placement. It's sloppy at times at best. And if he gets beat, he has a lot of slow quicksand-looking foot movement when he gets beat. When he gets overpowered on the bull rush, when he gets hit with those secondary moves, like a spin move here and there, he does tend to be a little slow to recover. He is not a top 15 prospect in this draft. He's not. What I'm saying is that he is. I'm not trying to sell you, a ham sandwich and tell you it's a chicken cordon bleu 5-star Michelin meal, Steve. I'm not doing that. I'm telling you that Kingsley Suamataia is a workhorse. He's got good family bloodlines. His cousin is Penei Sewell from the Detroit Lions. We know Penei Sewell. He actually tests just as good as Penei Sewell did across the board.
He actually measures up a lot like him. It's almost creepy how similar they are.
Right, but Penei Sewell was a lot more polished at that time. He's a lot more polished. He's ready to go. Kingsley is not ready to be a starting left tackle in this league. Could he get there? Absolutely, he could get there. With good coaching, can he get there? Absolutely. I think he's more suited for the right side right now over the left, which gives me a little bit of a problem. And we know there's also some problems in Chiefs Kingdom right now with the wide receiver room. That's a glaring problem we've got going on right now. So it's looking more and more like wide receiver may be that big glaring problem that may end up getting a guy like Kingsley Suamataia to be overlooked there late in the first round because he is not so NFL ready to go day one, Steve.
Right. Well, there's a couple of different things when you're talking about if the Chiefs would take him at pick 32 per se. This is what we had predicted on our first mock draft. Like you said, we're going to look into it more. We'll be updating versions of that each week up until the draft. But the thing with Kingsley is it really depends. Like, what do the Chiefs think about Wanya Morris and what he was able to do last year? Much like you said that Kingsley is more suited for the right side, so was Wanya Morris. Everyone thought when they drafted him in the third round last year that he was going to eventually be a right tackle and they were going to slide Jawan Taylor over to the left. No one thought Wanya was going to play last year at left tackle, and he actually started a few games because Donovan Smith being out. He did a decent job, but how confident are the Chiefs in Wanya to be able to do that? Because that's really going to make a difference on if they take a shot on a lineman early. They could take an offensive tackle early if they don't think that he's going to be able to do it. I think the thing with Kingsley is if you pulled him in here, he's going to give Wanya Morris some good old school competition in camp and things like that. Also, Kingsley's ceiling, left tackle. Kingsley's floor, good right tackle. So, I mean, it's not really like, I wouldn't say Kingsley's a can't miss pick because there's been several linemen drafted early in the draft that just don't pan out. But I do think Kingsley's kind of a safe pick in the fact that you can't go wrong with offensive line depth. If you draft for the trenches, unless you just whiff big time, normally you're safe.
Yeah, I totally agree. I believe with Kingsley, the two things that I kind of think that could be a problem here, because he does have good size and adequate play strength. Again, it's the sloppy hand placement, and then I believe he may struggle a little bit with NFL speed rushers. I really do. We've seen that a little bit. We've seen that a little bit in our past, OBJ experiment we took at the left side. He struggled with speed rushers and guys that could really come at him with the bull rush.
Right.
But Kingsley, I think, could be coached out of that. And again, is that a sour spot with Chiefs Kingdom? Maybe so. Is Suamataia going to be a guy that comes in and just beats Wanya right off the rip? I don't think so. I think maybe we're overlooking what Wanya and the confidence that Andy Reid maybe had with Wanya being able to start and do things like that. Andy Reid don't usually start rookies at the left tackle position very often, so he does see something in Wanya Morris.
To be fair, there weren't many options either. When Donovan Smith went down, I don't remember if Prince Tega Winoga was healthy or not, but normally that's who Andy would have turned to, but they turned to Wanya, so I think you're right at the fact that Andy has a little bit of confidence in him. It looks like the Chiefs, actual social media team, whether that comes from what the team itself has said or whatever, but they push Wanya out there like they have full confidence in him being a tackle. So
yep, 100%.
That could be it. If they're going to go with Wanya, Mike, I wouldn't be surprised at offensive tackle depth or guard depth or anything like that in the draft. But if they're very confident in Wanya Morris, I highly doubt they'll take a first-round guy because, like we've talked a million times, there's guys in the first half of the first round that are excellent. They're awesome guys that could start day one, and they're like can't miss picks like alt. But once you get past that, you get to the end of the first round, and then it's kind of it's a little bit of a guessing game. You're kind of throwing darts. So I mean, maybe the Chiefs do decide to go with wide receiver first round. That's the popular opinion. Maybe they do it and they wait and take some tackle depth later. I don't know.
Right. You just mentioned you got a top 5 You got Joe Alt, Troy Fatanu, J.C. Latham, Talise Fuanga, and Oli Fashanu from Penn State. That's your big cluster. And then after that, I think you've got a bunch of guys that are sitting on the fence. They got to be coached up. You've got to get them to play. How will they turn out? That's the Tyler Guytons of Oklahoma, Amarius Mims, Georgia, Kingsley, Suamataia, BYU. I actually think you throw Jordan Morgan from Arizona into that. Patrick Paul from Houston is in that. So I think you've got, like you said, you've got your top 5, and then you've got about 5 or 6 in a row that very much needs a little bit of coaching, needs a little bit of time and patience. And if you're wanting a guy to come in and just compete with Wanye right away, I don't think Wanye is going to have a problem keeping them off the field. But I would say in 2 to 3 years, maybe these guys do develop into something better than Wanye, and then Wanye can be kicked up and down the line for depth. So we'll have to see, man. It's always intriguing, and we're going to be back later this week with another top 30 visit of Kansas State's Ben Sinnott, tight end, Steve. So thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for subscribing, hitting that bell. We'll see you next time.